Hello and welcome back to the channel. Like and subscribe so you never miss an upload. Now before we begin, make sure that this video does contain manga spoilers. So if no one wants to be spoiled, click off now. While it's true that Shigaraki is the primary antagonist of My Hero Academia, he wouldn't be where he is without All For One, the mastermind pulling all the strings, the parasite of My Hero Academia. He, for better or worse, is involved with most of the plot points of the series. I mean, he's the catalyst for the story being what it is, and honestly, he's one annoying piece of shit. And spoiler alert, I'm so glad he's dead, oh god, finally. The thematic value of All For One, and I mean the man, not the quirk. Thematically, the symbol he represents is pure evil. Now this might seem obvious to most, so let me elaborate further. He's pure evil as in he doesn't have a defined morality or any sort of ideology. He doesn't have a defined concrete goal. Sure, world domination is one thing, but it's vague and not very developed. Even now that we know his backstory, he's more a caricature rather than a three-dimensional character. He's a symbol. If a person, no. If the accumulation of all negative emotions, greed, hunger, fear, terror, and selfishness, if all of these things were to be accumulated and then personified, that would be All For One. My Hero Academia, its entire story is about training the next generation, as well as overcoming the mistakes and faults of the past. Now bear with me here, it'll make perfect sense in a minute. Deku and Shigaraki are the primary protagonists and antagonists of the series, and the heir to both All Might and All For One, the secondary protagonist and antagonist to the series. Now both Deku and Shigaraki start off with one-dimensional and simple goals. Deku with a desire to save and Shigaraki with a desire to destroy. But, and this is a very big but, both their one-dimensional goals grow into three-dimensional ones over the course of the series. So in direct contrast to their successors, All Might and All For One have one-dimensional goals. Plain and simple. Good, bad, selfish, selfless. They're both thematic symbols that greatly affect the world of My Hero Academia with just their presence in the story. They are comic book characters, a hero and a villain, a force of nature. Let's take his introduction scene for example. This Darth Vader ripoff appears in his black mask that also works as a breathing apparatus and uses the power of the Force, his quirks to destroy best genius, kidnap Bakugo again, and save Shigaraki, strike so much fear into this rescue group of 1A that they start imagining themselves dead. If that's not terrifying, I don't know what is. He's a symbol of fear, power, and ugliness. Oh my god, look at that face. Looks like a potato head. On a serious note, his disfigured face further backs up my point on him being a force of nature. Even though he did have a face in the past, his no face or potato face look does represent the ugliness he has in him much better. He is disturbing, with no redeeming qualities. Think about it. Even after his backstory being revealed, not much changes about his character. In fact, it is more disturbing now that we know that from the moment he was born, he only cared about himself. Selfish to the core. He wanted everything for himself. Wanted it all for what? The man behind the mask. Now let's talk about All For One as a person, his personality, or lack of one. Despite his looming presence, like I said before, he doesn't have a concrete goal. Whenever he tries to do his bad guy monologue, he either contradicts himself or just flat out lies. When he's captured by All Might and put in Tartarus, he says this to All Might: "You vowed to be a symbol of peace and justice. I yearn to be an all-powerful devil." And this is as bland and simple as a villain ideology can be. There's no depth to his character, and all he does and says is more akin to that of a symbol, entity of pure negativity, selfishness, desire, rather than an actual person. He, in retrospect, by this logic, is the devil, the manipulator, And this man will do anything to ensure his victory, no matter the cost. He wants complete control of everything, and this is the selfish nature of a human being. We all wish we had control over our lives, wishing we could control and change our circumstances as we pleased. There's a saying that if men were to be given free scope to do what they want, they would do evil. Perhaps not on purpose, but their selfish desires and actions, when combined together, would birth evil nonetheless. Evil they won't know how to deal with. The darkness inside every person's heart, that is all for one, and he uses it perfectly to manipulate someone. Through the connection they might have, to the hate they might have, or to the pain, or to the insecurities they might have. Let's look at it this way. There was a time when he had everything. He was the ruler of Japan from the underworld. He had allies across the world, yet his hunger for more never came to an end. Never, never, never. But why? He had everything, except one for all. The one power, his little brother's quirk. The one ability he could never control. The one person he could never make his own. He killed every one for all user, took Tenko Shimura under his wing to break All Might. He takes the young boy in when he is in a state of trauma and denial and regret of what he had just done, and instead of helping him overcome his insecurities, his uncontrollable tendencies, he encouraged him to embrace them and feel proud of them, that he is perfect just the way he is. This is also a warped way to look at Destro's ideology. Destro said that people should be allowed to use their quirk whenever and however they want. All for One twists this concept and uses it in his own favor. He saves Dabi, tries to get in the boy's head, and had hospitals all over the country, taking orphanage so that he could use orphans as potential vessels, all as a means to an end. Obsession. It is very clearly established in My Hero Academia that quirks are more than just physical abilities. They are an extension of the person. While the English dub or Viz translations use the word quirk, the actual word is kosei, which translates to individuality. Quirks affect a person's personality, the way they behave. It shapes a core aspect of one's personality. Toga does what she does because her quirk urges her to drink the blood of those she loves. Shigaraki had an itch to destroy even since he was a child. Even if we look at a minor example, Bakugo has an explosive temper because his quirk is explosion, or even more minor, that I haven't heard. But Yoichi, the first One for All user, was so selfless because his original quirk was transference. Now, apply this to All for One. When a man has the ability to take any quirk, what does he do? He takes any and everything that he can. There's nothing more to him, nothing less. He is a hollow man, a symbol of desire. Selfish desires that have no reason for existing yet exist. He is darkness personified, and he will do anything to achieve his goal. Actually, I take it back. To satisfy his hunger, his greed, because he doesn't have a concrete goal. Sure, he wants to bring the world under his control, become its demon lord, but he will never be satisfied. He deceived his student, and now wants to live forever by turning him into a meat suit. He can do anything for it all. The demon lord's end. There will be major spoilers here. If you don't want to be spoiled, leave now. What dramatic irony it is, isn't it? The man who wanted to control everything couldn't control the vessel he laid out. The boy he manipulated his entire life made into what he is today, filled with so much hate that even he wasn't ready for. He didn't love Yoichi. He only viewed him as a possession, another thing to control. His brother was more so his favorite toy. And if a child's favorite toy can't be his, then it can't be anyone's. He didn't die at the hands of Bakugo. He died due to his own stolen quirk, one he couldn't control. I hope you enjoyed, and until next time, blood out.